He talks about working with his daughter, Phoebe, and her classmates to develop a bird book for young people.
I went in there and asked the teacher if we could work on a project together. It was not only a project to create the book, it was a project to kind of create the concept of the book too. So I used Phoebe's class as my focus group, if you will, and I brought in all these nature books for them to look through and tell me what they liked, what they didn't like, and it was really interesting because what I discovered was that most adults have no clue what kids really like and what they really want. I mean, we like to think we do, but most content that we create thinking we know, we don't really know. So I put it to the litmus test with the kids, and they said when we got the first content back and the first designs for the book back, they really didn't like it, and they told me. So we fixed it and made it more like what they wanted. Because at 4th grade, about that age, sort of 9, 10, 11, kids are becoming readers. They're no longer just visually stimulated by a big picture or some sort of graphic. They really want stories. They really want something that they can wrap their mind around. That changed the whole approach for the book. We really wanted to make it readable bits of memorable stuff that would maybe stick in their brain, make them curious enough to flip the page. And I figured if I could get them to flip one page in the book, that was successful, because that's the stickiness that you need. So we filled it full of obscure facts like, don't let a vulture puke on you because you can't get it out of your clothes. You literally can't. That's the vulture's defense. It's the book I wished I'd had when I was a 6, 7-year-old kid and started bird watching.
That there's a lot more situations of children being diagnosed with ADD that are not exposed to the outdoors, and that it's a proven fact that exposure to the outdoors and to nature can be calming and soothing. Children that are indoors with windows closed, with no access, health-wise, they seem a little more agitated, not very social. My children have been coming out here on a regular basis with the photo club for over 3 years. Before we started coming out here on a regular basis, when your kids go to school, somebody catches something and everybody gets sick. After we started coming out here on a regular basis, my kids hardly got sick at all. By being exposed to natural environment, your body begins to build up immune system. It goes back to that whole thing about going to school, antibacterial soap all the time. Have you noticed they've cut way back on that now? That's why. I wouldn't trade this for anything.
The St. Mark's Association, formed in 1987, is a nonprofit that spearheads such efforts as restoration of the historic St. Mark's Lighthouse. I spoke to Vice President Betsy Kellenberger and President Gail Fishman.
Betsy Kellenberger. Well, this is for the SMRA, the St. Mark's Refuge Association. We are the friends group of the Refuge. We assist in any way that we can, monetarily and volunteering. And I'm here today to try to round up some new members. And if you are a member, you get our quarterly newsletter. You get a 10% discount in the Nature Store, which is in our visitor center. And you get some emails occasionally about what's going on. We're here to round up some new members for our group. We have a wonderful website, stmarksrefuge.org, and there's lots of great information there about our Refuge Association and about the Refuge in general.
Gail Fishman.
What is it like to volunteer here?
It's wonderful. I've been doing it since 1980, sometime between 84 and 87 I started coming down here to volunteer. And I found it to be a beautiful spot and a very welcoming place to be. And my father died in 1984 and I needed some place to go, and I just needed the solace of open spaces, and that's what I found here, as well as a bunch of wonderful people, beautiful wildlife, and something different to see every day. And I get to interact with a lot of people. I feel like I'm making a difference by volunteering here. There are a lot of people that come through here just to go see the lighthouse. But when they come into the visitor center and they realize how much more there is to the refuge than just the lighthouse, I think they're pretty impressed. Plus, I've learned an awful lot about the history of this area too, and about the history of the refuge system and the different refuges in it. And to me, it's all just fascinating because we're not protecting just wildlife. We're protecting some of the culture and historical sites of Wakulla County too.
Howard Kessler.
What brings you out here today to this event?
Well, I am a supporter and member of the Wildlife Refuge here in St. Mark's, and this was an invitation open to the public. I try to go to all of the events to support their efforts, but I was overwhelmed with what I saw this morning. It is way beyond any expectations I ever had for a project. I know I've been reading about it, but until you walk through the doors, it's hard for someone to understand what is created here and how much it will mean for not only our children of our county, but all the surrounding counties. This will be a destination in and of itself. I think it's a welcoming building. You know, some buildings you enter and you feel uncomfortable with. It's too formal, it's too this or it's too that. This building, as soon as I entered, I felt welcomed. And you're in an environment that you feel it's open to learning, it's open to inquisity, it's open for the minds of the children to just take it where they will. It just allows that freedom.
Jan Pierce.
Julie Stanford.
So why are you both out here today?
We're both kindergarten teachers at Crowherville Elementary School, and we came out to see the new education center because we love the Wildlife Refuge and we love the experiences that it provides our young students, often free of charge, to connect them with nature.
And we came on a field trip here a couple years ago, and it was a lot of fun. The kids got so much out of it.
First name Tommy, last name Jones.
Erica Jones.
So what brings you out here today?
Well, we wanted to bring the kids out so they could see it, figure out what it was all about, just an adventure for the family.
Okay. Is this your first trip out to the St. Mark's?
No, we've been here before.
Yeah.
It's peaceful.
Projects currently on Nature's Classroom roster include First Sunday at the Refuge, a lecture series beginning October 2nd at 2 p.m., Tots on Trails, Families in Nature, Climate Change, and more. Their annual Monarch Butterfly Festival is an all-day event with butterfly tagging demonstrations, exhibits, and speakers.
It's the Monarch Festival on October 22nd, but there are going to be a lot of nice things happening here. There's going to be things for children. There's going to be the photo club will be having their photos for sale at a reasonable price. We just have a good time.
Bruce Ballister. Well, it's a multi-feature table. We have a phytoplankton book because there's a phytoplankton monitoring program here. We have information here from Monarch Watch. Coming up in the months of October, November, we have a significant Monarch event, the big Monarch Festival at the end of October. Usually it's the last Saturday. And we have wild plant seeds, wildflower seeds to be planted, and samples that can be put out. Take several of those and put them in your garden. Here's another North American amphibian monitoring program, fox and squirrel sightings, the Big Sit, which is a national bird watching event every year that this refuge takes place in. So you can see there's an awful lot of stuff here. And we also have a sign-up sheet here for people who would like to join us at Monarch Watch. We will be tagging beginning about the second week of October, third week of October, and tagging through November.
So when you say tagging, what exactly
we actually come down in the morning and pluck the monarchs off the bushes where they're nesting for the night and put a tag on them. We're trying to track the migration routes from New England states and Canada down through the southern states and down to Mexico. The monarchs are the only butterfly that migrates, and these migrate over several generations. If there's a monarch born in South Texas in the spring, his third generation might make it to Canada and then fly back to Mexico without having any idea.
To learn more about Nature's Classroom or participate in their events, call 850-925-6121 or visit www.stmarksrefuge.org.
We have such rich, diverse ecosystems here, and it's important especially with conserving natural resources, that we connect people to the community around them so that they are able to feel the connection right outside their home and not feel disconnected as though it's something that happens in other communities. It happens right here in our communities. The connection with nature, the connection with your environment. And Wakulla County is so diverse, you want people to be able to enjoy and embrace what they have right here and to preserve it.
It's my love of nature. I think every one of us has it, whether you're in business or not. Everyone loves nature. If you show photos to people of what they like to look at, even if the people are living in a city or a suburb or out in the country, you give them congestion and density of people, or you give them a rural setting, 90+% of the people pick the rural setting. It's something that's part of us genetically, I think. We all come from nature. We all are part of nature, and I think that bond will never get broken. Sometimes it gets twisted, but I don't think the bond ever gets broken.
I've done monarch tagging for about 12 years. It's fun. I get out in the mornings. I have the refuge to myself in the very pre-dawn. The weather varies, but there are some mornings when you can see the Milky Way spread across the sky, and some mornings that the sunrises are just absolutely gorgeous. At that time of year, we also have a number of migrating birds beginning to come down to the refuge. It's just a lot of fun, and I think the fall and spring are the best times of the year to be at the refuge.
Well, it's such a beautiful place. It's a wonderful place to spend the weekend, and they need help. When we have these big events, you have to have a lot of volunteers to put on a big event like today. And so we just feel it's important to pass along what we've learned about the refuge and to get more people excited about it.
It's so satisfying when you see that little child with the aha moment in their eye. I can't tell you enough about how exciting it is. Couldn't ask for more. I hope my health holds up another good while, because it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Thank you for listening to the Wakulla Sunday radio program. Thank you to our program assistant, Brett, our editor, Chuck, our sponsors, the Florida Green Guide Association, Palmetto Expeditions, RBN Construction LLC, Kathy Frank, the Palaver Tree Theater Company, and the Works Co-working Cafe, located at 27F Azalea Drive in Crawfordville's Midtown Center. We need more sponsors. If you'd like to become one, please call 718-682-3870. The Wakulla Sunday radio program, Sunday at 4 p.m., Monday at 8 p.m., and Fridays following the Wakulla High School football game, right here on Wave 94.1.